¿Qué onda, vatos? Thanks again for tuning in to yet another video. Infamous coming at you live from the West Coast yet again, San Jose, California. So let's just go ahead and get on to the topic of today's video. First impressions on the FXRT fairing with the lowers. Of course, you guys can check those out right down there. And so far, man, it's a difference of night and day as far as wind protection. Boy, I'm telling you, man, I'm just surprised on how well the lowers, I guess they just keep wind away from my upper body, my waist, my pelvic area. I only get a little bit of wind around my kneecaps, like a little bit on the outside of my kneecaps, and other than that, I'm just super comfortable right behind this fairing. Frame-mounted fairing, of course. I mean, it's a lot larger than the Road Warrior, but I think the Road Warrior does a really good, decent job as far as wind protection for its overall size and footprint and weight. The Road Warrior fairing weighs in about 4 pounds. This whole setup right here with the Baja light, of course, because the Baja light is heavy. It weighs in at about 19 pounds, give or take, a little bit around 19-20 pounds with the bracket, the fairing, the lowers, and the Baja light. Like I said, the Baja light weighs a ton. I think the Baja light adds probably maybe like 5 or 6 pounds of the overall weight. I mean, the fairing itself is light. As far as wind buffeting, vibration, all that other stuff, I don't really feel any of it. Even though I don't have a windshield on the fairing, you guys can see I'm still mocking stuff up. I'm still getting stuff prepped. There isn't a lot of wind buffeting. I'm 5'7", of course, so I mean that could be a factor in why I don't get much, vibration or turbulence, wind buffeting or whatever. Even before I put the lowers on, I didn't get that much. Like I said, it might be something along the lines of my height. It could be the helmet to itself. I mean, there's different factors on why somebody's getting, just rocked back and forth. But first impression so far, ride quality, it's improved. All right, it feels great. This thing is just screaming for an audio setup now that we have this much of, wind protection. If you put on a Plex audio on this thing, it's going to sound amazing, of course. But is that worth it? I mean, what you pay for the lowers, the fairing, the bracket, all that stuff, of course. I'm not going to say a number because the old lady might be watching, and I'm already in deep water with with how much I've been spending on the bike. I mean, is that worth it? I mean, that just depends on you. All right, it just depends on your riding style. I've always mentioned this in a lot of my videos. Do I need this fairing for my riding style right now? No, it doesn't fit my riding style. I'm more town. I commute along the cities. I do minimal highway. I don't do long range. I don't do 2-up, which is what would benefit me having this fairing. That would benefit me, but since I don't do that type of riding, as far as the form and function, the benefits of a larger fairing, frame-mounted fairing, I don't need it. So, I'm neutral in that sense. But as far as the cool factor, in my opinion, I really like the way the fairing looks. I've always been a fan of the fairing. I've always liked it ever since NorCal had his installed at Laidlaw's. I've been a fan of it, and I just instantly fell in love with the overall look of the FXRT on the Lowrider S. The inverted forks, dual disc brakes, man, it just really, it just appealed to me, and I really fell in love with it. And I've been wanting to get the fairing for some time, but I just couldn't really justify the price for the reasons of I really don't need it. It's more, it's more of a look factor. But if you're someone that, rides long range, you go, you do maybe 60%, 70% of your riding highway. Maybe you're a weekend rider and that's where you usually ride. If you commute, then depending on how far away your commute is, maybe it'll help you out. Because I could tell you, riding without a fairing, riding without wind protection, Sacramento coming back, I'm 36, 37, and riding from there all the way to, of course, the Bay Area, man, you get beat up by the wind. Have you guys seen the $1 Million Bogan, him and Corey? They went, or is it Perry? I think is it Perry or Corey? I think it's Perry. They both rode to Mexico. Perry didn't have wind protection on a Sportster, and he took it like a champ. But you can see the difference between night and day between Danny and Perry when they decided to kind of end the riding for the day. Danny looked a lot more fresh than Perry. Perry, he looked absolutely miserable, and I'm pretty sure he felt miserable the next day because just riding 2 hours, highway riding, high winds, of course, because there was a high wind advisory that day when I was riding to Sacramento without a fairing. Man, I felt beat the next day. I had to take some leave, and just to kind of just to go about my day, of course. But having the Road Warrior fairing and having this fairing, that could be the difference of arriving fatigue or arriving, depending on how many hours, of course, of riding you're doing. That could be the difference of needing a day to rest when you finally get to your location, or being able to get to your location, rest a few hours, and then get out and do your thing, tourist wise, or maybe even hike or something along those lines. You could be riding to like a national park. You ride with this thing 3 hours, you're gonna be able to enjoy your you're gonna be able to enjoy the time spent while you're there. If you're riding without wind protection, without anything, depending on how many stops you make so you can take a break, you're not gonna have the same experience. So it is what it is. All right, it's pretty simple. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about the FXRT for the price? If you guys go on Dominator, check it out. Of course, this is not the carbon fiber option. The carbon fiber, I believe it's $3,000, $4,000. So you guys already know, all right? So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. You got another video. If you guys were on the fence and you guys are wondering about the fairing, you guys could watch all my videos on FXRT. If your riding is pretty much like mine, 80% city and maybe 20% highway, freeway, you probably don't need the fairing. All right, and then on top of that, like I said, you're adding about I'd say without the headlight, all right, without the Baja design headlight, you're adding about 14 pounds, about 15 pounds to your bike. So just keep that in mind. I know it's lightweight, but it is gonna change the overall performance. It's not much, but 14 here, 10 there, 20 here, it adds up. And that's how I got from 19 pounds up head, 20 pounds on the bags. Now I'm over 710, 720 pounds on the Softail, and that's gonna affect the handling of the bike, and it's gonna affect the performance of the bike. So what you could do is get yourself a stage 2. Maybe that's where I'll probably end up going next, stage 2, to combat the extra weight I've added. To the extra weight I've added to the bike. You guys, once again, outro number 2. Stay out there, stay safe, don't believe everything you read, life's a risk, get out there and ride. Later.